You know, when I was a little kid, and I was in theaters, and this trailer came on. This trailer that was a teaser for all three of the Lord of the Rings films, and it showed all the release dates, and they were going to be released back to back on Christmas. I remember this feeling came over me, a feeling I hadn't felt before, and I had no idea what the Lord of the Rings was prior, and it was just so impactful for me as a creative, so impactful. I want to be a filmmaker, and there's not been many moments in my life that hit me like the majesty of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, right? A similar thing happened with Stanley Kubrick's 2001. I remember when 2001, when it first started, there was just blackness, and it went on for too long, and I was just like, what the fuck is happening? But then like this eerie fucking music that like it gave me shivers started to rise, and then when we finally see imagery, it's like the movie hypnotizes you through the plot, and it's just so big. And I swear to God, dude, watching this movie, you guys know how much I love Denis, but watching this movie, and you guys know that Blade Runner 2049 almost became my favorite movie of all time, even though my favorite movie of all time is still undefeated, 1999, The Matrix. But watching Dune reminded me, Dune was so good that watching Dune, and you gotta think, I've never read the books. I've never seen the David Lynch movie. Any series, I don't remember. So I don't know if I've seen them, but either way, I don't remember. But seriously, watching Dune was equivalent to watching 2001 A Space Odyssey for the first time, or watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy for the first time. Some kind of hybrid of like Batman Begins meets Fellowship of the Ring for sci-fi. I mean, this is like science fiction nirvana right here. Many people might not be used to stories told in this kind of way. You know, like What Dreams May Come, Lord of the Rings, 2001, this sort of grand scale way like Interstellar, or Blade Runner, you know, these sort of slow burners, but like they're just so ambitious visually. There's so much to love. There's so much to love. But before we go any further, I'm gonna have to do another review. I might have to do two more reviews because this movie is so fucking massive. We're gonna do a spoiler-filled review soon, but I just gotta say, off rip, this is a 10 out of 10. What are you talking about? This is a 10 out of 10. Like, this is why I go to movies, to escape to like another reality, you know, in like a VR way, or like when Neo has that fucking thing, you know, shoved into the back of his head. I mean, this was like going to another reality. First off, it's totally different from the trailers, by the way. In my opinion, it's totally different from the trailers. The trailers almost gave off almost like a Walt Disney vibe. I'm not gonna lie to you. But like, no, like all of the like, you know, very minuscule, but all of the comedy moments I felt surprisingly or effective. I wasn't prepared for how detailed and how fascinating these characters are. The characters are so fascinating. Like, one of the first sequences, which is just a conversation at a dinner table between Paul Atreides and his mother. There's a moment there with him practicing with powers, and I was just like, boom, I'm so hooked by these characters. They're all so distinctive. They're all so unique. I have so many questions about them. All the performances are so great. Oscar Isaac and Timothée Chalamet were standout performances. Visually, that's another thing. There's such a mood. There's such a fucking atmosphere to this. Like, there's something hypnotizing about this shit. Also, there's like some film grain in there. I didn't expect to see so much sandworm footage. What the fuck? This is like some impossible movie. This is like when I saw the Snyder Cut, and I don't give a fuck what you say. I gave the Snyder Cut a 10 out of 10. Suck my dick. I love the Snyder Cut is dope. Anyway, but it's like watching. It was similar to watching the Snyder Cut. When I was watching the Snyder Cut, I felt like I was watching something impossible. I felt like I was watching an impossible movie, like some movie that shouldn't exist because it's just too ambitious. It's just too bold. It's just too for me. Thank God it exists. Thank God this movie exists. Like, the scale of this movie is jaw-dropping, dog. I just, what the fuck? Like, there's one moment towards the beginning of the movie, this sequence right here. This ship is so fucking massive that look how tiny the people are, dog. When they roll the carpet out and niggas start walking out of that ship, I was just like, ah! But by the way, when that ship showed up and a black man was leading them, I was like, what? Well, let's go, Denis. Let's go, baby. We got niggas leading in the interstellar future. Let's go. Also, what the fuck? There's one moment where Timothée Chalamet, Paul Atreides, when he wakes up and it says year, blah, blah, blah. But the year that it gave, I was like, bruh, this shit is so far in the future. What the fuck? And like everything, oh my God, what the fuck? And I've been waiting a long time for this movie. And people are like, well, wait, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? You never read the book. What do you wait? Because Denis Villeneuve is one of the greatest filmmakers of our time, in my opinion. What the fuck? This movie has to get a part 2, because when it was ending, I knew that it was ending. I was like, what? And like when it faded to black, literally goosebumps shot down my fucking spine. I was like, bro, this has to have a not only a sequel, but like a franchise. I mean, the world is so big. There are spaceships so fucking massive that human beings are like specks compared to them. There are so many different fleets and different styles of spaceships and weaponry, like with guns and shit. Human beings can have like digital, like exoskeleton, like shields and fucking what the fuck? You know, there's this whole battle for Arrakis where there's this thing called the spice that's like it's almost like DMT and some kind of substance that can power interstellar travel. It's just like, bro, they're melting my mind. Okay, this movie was so good. I need to try DMT sometime, but that's a separate conversation. There's just such a gothic, grand scale mood here. What the fuck? There's such a vibe to this entire thing. Sweet Jesus. Like, there's just such a ominous, haunted, poignant tone to this. As if like the whole thing is one big moving poem or something like that. It's just nuts, dude. I wasn't expecting that. It's a lot darker than what I was anticipating. You know, it's almost got like that dark energy of like a Nolan project, you know? I was not expecting that. Like, even though everything's futuristic, you know, the technology is so analog that like it feels ancient. It's almost like we're watching like, you know, ancient Rome or the ancient Egyptians just with futuristic technology. Like, it's mad, dog. It's mad. The sandworms are fucking insane. I love these characters. I can't wait to go deeper on this, but like, I love these characters. They're so interesting. Like Paul Atreides, he's so relatable. He's so sympathetic. I feel so much for his father. Jason Momoa was so badass, dude. That's another thing. The soundtrack, the score is so fucking good, dog. It's like a weird mixture. It's like a weird mixture of dark and creepy and bombastic and epic. And it was just so overwhelming. There's so much emphasis on sub bass. I mean, like literally the whole time this movie was on, it felt like my chair and my chest were vibrating. Is just a stone cold masterpiece. What in the fuck? Like literally, if you don't like this movie, then I guess you just don't like. I guess you're just not big into like fantasy or hard science fiction, because holy shit, it felt like this movie was made for me specifically. It felt like I was dreaming while I was awake watching this shit. It's like what I was seeing was impossible, but yet it was happening. Like I just couldn't believe it. It's equivalent to like if you went to go see a movie version of Dragon Ball Z and it was just like a knockout 10 out of 10, borderline perfectly made. It's just like, wait, what? The cinematography is perfect. Almost has like Roger Deakins vibes. Everything feels so tactile and so real. The CGI just feels real. Like Denis treated this, I love that Denis treated this world as if it was an actual place that he simply just flew to, filmed, and came back. Like that's how it's treated. There's so much information to take in, and it's given to you wonderfully. Like the information regarding this world is given to you in such a way that's like, okay, rock on, I got you. What else you got? Okay, but perfectly understood. I understand. Great. You know, nothing feels like convoluted or messy or like, huh? There's definitely some weirdness, like Stellan Skarsgård? Yeah, his character visually it's just like, what the fuck. There's one image of him that, swear to God, is probably going to become classic, but you could say that about like entire list of images in this movie. What the fuck. I feel like I touched the spice. Like I feel like someone slipped me a piece of acid and I went on a very tranquil acid trip for like 2.5 hours. For real. The sequel needs to happen. I cannot wait to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I'm so glad that I already bought like my second screening is already set up for the 21st. So I can't wait to see it again. I'm sure my spoiler review will be out probably around then after I've seen it for a second time. But, I mean, holy shit, dude. Everything just felt so real. Like, I love that they're inside of real sets. You know, they're actually on location. It's oh my God. It was like a eye-mind orgasm. There's so much to pull from this movie. There's so much to interpret. We'll dig more into this later, but I fucking loved it. I feel spellbound. I feel like someone just waved some spice into my eyes and like I'm just walking around in some kind of hallucinogenic haze or something, like I'm in a trance. I feel like I've been hypnotized for the last 2 hours by pure cinematic nirvana. It's a 10 out of 10. Whoa.